It's always a beautiful day after a Chelsea win, I must say, especially when it's 3-1 against the champions at home. Yes, they rotated, but they still brought on the big guns, and Maresca inflicted what was the biggest defeat to Arne Slot's Liverpool this season, which is not something that he would have wanted. Of course, huge talking points are how the balance is back with Lavia in midfield, and I want to speak a little bit about that today because it gets the best out of Enzo Fernandez, and indeed does it out of Cucurella when he's not occupying that left pocket. I do think there is a vision of how Chelsea play incredibly well under Enzo Maresca, and it wasn't just an early doors fluke of transitional football, a hangover from the Pochettino era. No, I think there is sustainable possession style football, although granted Chelsea didn't have possession in the game against Liverpool, but that's not necessarily the plan. In terms of combinational play, positional play, where the spaces players occupy and their roles, it is actually very promising, and we're going to speak a little bit about that in today's video, as well as reflect on the Chelsea Awards, of course. That happened last night after the win. It's always good to go to an award ceremony in the evening after being in a positive mood after a positive result. So welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. As always, I do hope you're doing well, friend. Really do hope that. And kind of Chelsea news, though more of a reflection. Of course, there's daily content here on the channel. Previews, reviews, Chelsea news, largely a lot of Chelsea news. So do subscribe if you feel like that's something you might be interested in. I always welcome you guys to start up the conversation in the comment section below. It's a great community here on Football Therapy, and a lot of good thoughts exchanged, and they are always welcome, so do consider leaving a comment if you like. Oh yeah, before we get into it as well, of course, a quick reminder, daily content on the sister channel, Football Yannick, where I speak, again, every single day, but non-Chelsea topics. Today's video is a reflection of the incredible fallout from the Trent goodbye video, and how Liverpool fans are taking it, so do check that out. And there's also a link to that channel in the top of the description. All right, so before we speak about the midfield balance, the future of Maresca ball, as much as I hate that phrase, Sarri ball, etc. A shout out to the winners of the Chelsea Awards last night. Erin Cuthbert, deservedly winning Chelsea Women's Player of the Season. Congratulations to her. Probably my favourite Chelsea women's player. Tyreek George, I say unsurprisingly, Joshua Champong's been very good as well, but Tyreek George has been a really important player. He won Academy Player of the Season for Chelsea. And Moises Caicedo cleaning up, winning players and fans Player of the Season for the Chelsea first team. Of course, people were starting to think it was tight between him and Cucurella. I get that. Probably Cole Palmer in third. Had Palmer not gone off the boil for ages, he probably would have walked it again. But really nice for Caicedo to win this award, because like Enzo Fernandez, now being appreciated, both of these guys represented record purchases in the Premier League in terms of transfer fee. Both of them massively come good, and both of them flourishing when playing certain roles in this Maresca system, which I'm about to get onto. Look, it's worth reminding everyone about Moises Caicedo that he's a very young man, and when he first joined us the summer before last, there was so much sort of, stress in terms of his transfer fee. Of course, we negotiated really poorly with Brighton before we had to finally pay 115. Remember, Liverpool had a fee agreed of £111 million, which of course would have been a record fee for Caicedo. Brighton were like, yeah, you can buy him for that. Liverpool really wanted him, like Lavia. That's what a player we're going to talk about. Like Lavia, he said, no, I want to go to Chelsea. But what actually ended up happening is the season had already started. He never had a pre-season. He had all the stress of the move, the weight of the transfer fee, the record fee, and he never really got going early doors. But of course, the end part of last season, he was excellent, Moises Caicedo, and he's just brought that into this season. So really, he was only hamstrung by a poorly executed transfer, which hopefully, the reports are, the briefing is that the directors have learned from that and they want to get business done quickly, because they saw, they're losing value when stuff like that happens, especially with such an expensive transfer. But yeah, an amazing player, Moises Caicedo. He can play. I'm not saying he's as good at Kante, what Kante does. He's got elements of Kante, but he's got different elements to his game as well. And he's a wonderful, wonderful footballer. So congratulations to everyone at the awards. Right, so Chelsea are winning the streets back. In terms of favourites for top 5, they are now 4/11 odds on. For whatever, however much you read into odds. Of course, 3 finals to go. Chelsea got 2 really difficult away games in Newcastle and Forest. And of course, we've got Man United at home. A Man United team who we have got a terrible record against of late. I know Palmer scored a late winner against them last season. He's just finding form now. But we have to beat Man United at home. To be honest, the Liverpool win will be a really, really an opportunity to find just a bit of swagger and confidence again, and that brings me into the system. A system with Moyes, and this, by the way, the one person that we worry that misses out in this system is Reece James, who's an amazing footballer, but Chelsea play so much better with Moises. Remember, Moises Caicedo played a lot of right back for Brighton. And he sort of played conventional right back as well as inverting right back for Brighton. We knew he could do it. When we defended as a team against Liverpool yesterday, we were dominant with all the stats except possession. The whole team's getting back and defending together. So you don't really necessarily think about, he's in a right back position because, wingers get in the right back position. Do you know what I mean? Everyone defends deep. But when you've got the ball, and that's when you're passing, and that's when you're executing your game plan. You're not defending together. This is your football when you've got the ball. And when you've got the ball, he's in midfield. So he's ostensibly a midfielder, yeah? Lavia joins him, and it pushes Enzo Fernandez into the left pocket, the attacking pocket, where up until recently, Marc Cucurella was occupying. He was inverting from left back, but not to defensive midfield, to attacking midfield, the left pocket. And to his credit, Marc Cucurella, he did really good work. He scored a few goals, and looked quite good. But it's not enough to keep him there. It's not the optimized version of Chelsea. And of course, even though it's nice Cucurella can score the odd goal, it's not the optimized version of Marc Cucurella. Do you want to know what the optimized version of Marc Cucurella is? That's him pocketing Mohamed Salah, defending deep and rarely coming forwards. That's what you want. For me, I've been saying it, I'll repeat myself again, Chelsea needs to defend well. Last season, raised my blood pressure massively. To be a good team, you need a level of control. High-octane transitional football doesn't win titles. Pochettino never won a Premier League, even with a good Spurs team when he should have done, because it doesn't work. Klopp changed to the heavy metal football for the one season he won the Prem. Arne Slot changed the high-risk football to control. Pep Guardiola won every season with control. Antonio Conte won our last Premier League with control. Not high-risk YOLO football, okay? So... And control, Cucurella being more defensive makes a lot more sense. What that does, it frees up the left pocket for de facto capitano Enzo Fernandez to occupy. Like I said in my match review yesterday, and if you haven't seen my match review from after the game, please do. I welcome you to go watch it. Enzo Fernandez is on 20 Premier League goal involvements. For a guy, again, I said yesterday, who was playing central defensive midfield for Argentina as this kind of like deep line playmaker regista, he still can play those passes, but crashing the box and assisting and scoring, he's getting better and better and better at, and he looks so well. He's such a peculiar role because it's not like a classic number 10 or an attacking midfielder. He's doing the elements of old Frank Lampard, but he's still like digging in deep and showing that South American Argentinian tenacity, and being a leader, being a leader, wearing the captain's armband, leading by example, leading everything on the pitch. That's what we need. So we're getting the best out of Enzo there, and we're getting the best out of Cucurella back there. How did we get that? Well, it's because we play a midfield pivot of both Caicedo and Lavia. Now, Lavia, of course we know Caicedo. Like I said, he's just won all the awards, amazing footballer. A lot of people look at Lavia, very young player. I'm not entirely sure knows exactly what he does. Also, maybe his stats rating website. Ratings are never massively high, but he's so important. Maresca's been saying it all the time. Lots to his credit, Simon Johnson of The Athletic has been reiterating it all season. Like, had Latvia been fit or even half fit all season, would we be comfortably top 4, second place? Maybe. You could say the same for Wesley Fana. Now, I'm going to speak mainly about the midfield, but I just want a quick word on Wesley Fana because in the post-match press conference from the Chelsea manager, Maresca, he said, yeah, massive difference. We're a completely different team with Romeo Lavia, and for sure, Wesley Fana. Now, of course, you guys know I'm a Wesley Fana super fan. I often get stick from you guys for waxing lyrical about him, maybe too much, but I do think he's amazing. And similarly, he changes the way how Chelsea play in terms of ball carrying, progressive passes, how aggressive he is. Of course, Levi Cole sort of stays back and plays passes, whereas Wesley Fana is the aggressor, high turnovers. And if you get high turnover, the opposition don't know what to do because they're all out of position. And it puts Chelsea in an opportunity to cook, basically. Wesley Fofana's got huge injury troubles. He might not make it at Chelsea. I think that'll be very sad. It'll just be one of those things. I'll get over it. But it's an example of that profile making this particular style of football under Enzo Maresca play better. So Lavia coming into the team. We knew he was a kind of really press-resistant midfielder. Now, he doesn't get goals. He doesn't get assists. He's good at defensive actions like tackling, but he's really good at playing. He's kind of got elements of Mateo Kovacic, press resistant, playing through with his feet, like he can dribble through. He doesn't panic and release the ball. He can shuffle past. He's got a really, really fast, cerebral, choice decision making. He's like, for a young player who's not been playing football, his lucidity to what's going on around him is Cole Palmer level. And he's not a Cole Palmer player. He's not an attacker like that. But it's a similar level of just clocked into the game entirely. He knows exactly what he can and can't do. That extra shuffle to dribble out, play between the lines. But the line-breaking passes, which he always does. He always makes the same decision. And it is worthy of comparing him to Cole Palmer in terms of that execution of the right thing to do for his role. Cole Palmer's like a free number 10 who can do what he wants, although he works really hard. He can do everything. Man of the match yesterday, incredible. But it's not the same role as Lavia. But Lavia, with his role, he knows exactly what to do to make Chelsea play better. And with Lavia in the team, making those vertical line-breaking passes constantly, dribbling out of the press, being a pressure relief valve for their press for them. Do you know what I mean? And like, suddenly it's a domino effect. Cucurella is better at defending, defending deep, creating a back three with, Levi Colwill and Trevoh Chalobah at the moment. Of course, that's going to change. We're almost certainly going to sell Trevoh, buy a centre-back, and hopefully it will be for the better in terms of bringing in someone really quality like a Gerhi or a Howson. Of course, I'll follow the stories here on the channel should that happen. But Cucurella, Enzo Fernandez, and guys, Cole Palmer himself. I think they said this on Match of the Day too, or some other analytical platform program. Cole Palmer plays better with Lavia in the team. I think at Anfield we had Lavia for maybe even only half a game, but you had Arne Slot saying that's the only game we won that we didn't deserve to win. Chelsea were better than us, and we had Romeo Lavia playing really well. He doesn't have to put on a masterclass. He just has to do well what he always does well. And it's a domino effect to Enzo Fernandez, a player we need more out of and has been giving loads. Caicedo, been amazing, continuing to be amazing. And Cole Palmer, look how he cooks yesterday. Look at the combinations of Romeo Lavia. Look at when Romeo Lavia looks up to find Cole. Cole's link up with him is really, really good. It's so, so important. And with those three on the pitch, Chelsea can be very good. Now, Jackson is a good player, makes good runs, can score the odd goal. He shouldn't be Chelsea's starting striker. I don't want to lose him. I want him to stay at Chelsea. I want him to get better at Chelsea to the point where maybe he becomes Chelsea's first choice striker. I've got nothing against that. I definitely want him to be an option. And I definitely want him to be a rotational option. And I think he's been an amazing signing for £29 million. Wingers, of course, plug and play, both Neto and Noni's been a sort of mini revelation on the left in terms of how he's carrying the ball directly. Chelsea would look by a winger, but a striker. So, we've got good wingers. We might get another one. Defenders. With this midfield, supercharging Cole Palmer and putting Cucurella back where, he does his best work. Really, you just add that striker and this Chelsea team could be incredible. Yeah, man. Obviously, disclaimer, a lot can happen in the final 3 games and, maybe Chelsea don't win the Europa Conference League, then rightly we'll all be miserable. Do you know what I mean? That's just where we'll be. But, theoretically, analysing, what's going on here, it's very, very positive. And yes, it was kind of poetic as Chelsea fans. The 2 players that got away yesterday, in Lavia and Caicedo, playing very, very well against him. I mean, they won't care. They've won the Premier League. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Please do leave your comments in the comment section below. Start up the conversation. Thank you, as always, for supporting the content. And if you do want more content from me, then, click the link in the description and go check out Football Yannick and check out the Trent drama. Guys, enjoy the football. See you soon. Peace.